All right, we're recording it. We can get started if you want to.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir. Okay. This is the regular meeting of the Munster Board of Zoning Appeals. Thank you everyone for coming out here this evening. I will call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Sergio, would you please call the roll? Mr. Hemingway.
Present.
Ms. Mayor. Here, Mr. Raffin. Here, Mr. Speck.
Present.
And Chairman, yes, present, thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. What is the pleasure of the board?
President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from 9/12/23.
There's been a motion by Mr. Hemingway to approve as presented. Is there support for that motion?
Yes, and I'm gonna have to second it.
Mr. Speck duly seconds. Is there any question on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? The motion is unanimous and the minutes are approved. We have one public preliminary hearing this evening, and it is BZA 23-011, 3 Floyd's Tap Room requesting several developmental standard variances. I do see council present. Mr. Yachty, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you. Very excited to be here. Exciting to come before you with a project that I think is going to be a really enhancement to the town and to the 3 Floyd's facility. And I was excited before I picked up the extra energy in the room and a lot of folks that want to speak to you tonight. So in mind, being mindful of that, also in my discussion with town representatives, including our manager and new planner, who happy to meet and have a board. We're going to be rather brief with you this evening, unless you would rather dive in. I've got folks that are available, an architectural team. Brief is good tonight, right? I do want to let you know that Nick Floyd is here with us this evening. Bernie Profit, the Chief Legal Officer, and also Gary Matro, the CFO. So this is a project that is that they've put a lot into, and their design team has really come up with something pretty unique, and I think we're really going to like seeing it. We'll save that for November. We are going to ask you for 3 developmental variances. They really relate to the fact that we have existing buildings out there. Rather than come and seek an amendment of the PUD, we collectively determined that 3 developmental variances were the way to go. I'll give you the detail of those next month, and we'll kind of unveil more about this plan. But it's a new tap room and beer garden, and the 3 Floyd is going to be first class, and I think we'll benefit from it for years to come.
Wonderful, thank you. Sergio, anything to add to the staff report?
Just quickly, I want to add or identify the 3 variances that are being requested in the sections. The first variance is from table 26-6.404.A-7 regarding setbacks of principal buildings. The second variance being requested is from section 26-6.405.0.1.H, Roman numeral 7. And that is for the landscaping design, particularly the first lot layer standard for landscaping and parking. And then the third variance is from 26-6.405.Q3B, which deals with illumination and the use of private lighting. Those are the 3 variances being sought for, and looking for public hearing next month.
Thank you. Anything else from the town? Here, seeing none. Questions from the board?
None at this time.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion for public hearing on the 14th. Docket 2301.
There's been a motion to set for public hearing, BZA 23-011. Is there support for that motion?
I will second the motion.
By Mr. Speck. Any question on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, Sergio, please call the roll.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buckso.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Yanni, your client has their public hearing. Please work with the town to ensure that all notice is provided and the other details. So
Absolutely, we'll do so.
Thank you.
Look
See you
forward to
next
seeing you in
month.
November. Thank
take
you.
care.
Excuse me, it's really hard to hear back here. Dan, you're good, but the staff and even at the podium, it's hard to hear. I'm sorry.
We will endeavor to do better. Mr.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to our public hearings, and the first is BZA 23-003. And as I noted before the meeting, there's been a request to, Sergio, do you want to update us on exactly what the request is at this point?
The request, the variance request?
No, not the variance
Oh.
request, the motion, the request to
Yes.
postpone.
I'm sorry, the Ramadans reached out to staff, requesting a continuance of their public hearing. They've identified that their attorney would not be present at this meeting, and they would like their, legal representation as part of the public hearing, and have requested that this, public hearing be continued to November 14th. And so, we are presenting this before the commission, the board to make a decision has to consider the following for a continuance of the public hearing to November 14th or open the public hearing.
Thank you. Members of the board, we have several options. What is your preference at this point?
What are our options?
We could grant the petitioner's request to postpone the public hearing until the November meeting. Or we could open the public hearing, listen to those petitioners present tonight, and we would keep it open. The public hearing would not be closed tonight. It would remain open, and then anyone wishing to remonstrate in November would also be allowed to do so.
I think they're all here. I think we open the public hearing and proceed and then try to continue it after we hear what the public has to say.
I concur.
We need to take a formal vote on that.
I believe we should. Has to be unanimous. To be on that grade.
So a motion to open the public hearing would be in order.
Right.
And so such a motion.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Mr. Speck to open the public hearing. Is there support?
I second that.
Any question on the motion? Sergio, please call the roll.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buckso.
Yes. We will now then open the public hearing on BZA 23-003. Sergio, do you want to give a brief description of what is being requested in the variance at this point?
Yes, the variance request is from table 26-6.405.8-2. It's for vehicular parking requirements. The current requirements are that any primary structure residence less than 5,000 square feet is limited to 3-car garage. Any residence exceeding 5,000 square feet is limited to 4-car garage. The petitioner currently has a 3-car garage with a 4,700 square foot home. They're requesting 2 additional garage parking spots or an additional garage, totaling their garage space to, or parking garage space to 5, exceeding it by 2 parking spaces per the ordinance.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to talk to this petition 23-003, please go to the podium microphone along the your right, my left side of the wall there. State your name and address for the record, and go ahead and say what you'd like to say.
Excuse me, there are some people in the Zoom waiting room that they've not been let in.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
Anybody wishing that, please, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Mary Skosick, Skosik, and I live at 1621 Thistle Lane in Munster. And I have a few questions about the structure that's going to be built. We were told that first that it's a carport. And I want to know if the town of Munster has a definition for a carport. Like if it's, because the definition for me, I guess, is that it's opened on the side and maybe a roof on the top. And how large would this structure be? And how far away from the property line will the structure be? Because, and you guys probably know this better than me, aren't you supposed to be 6 feet away from your property line for a structure?
Sergio?
So, at this point, staff can take those questions and review them and be prepared to answer them or at least respond to them
Okay.
at next month's meeting, yes.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, because if you're supposed to be 6 feet, that's not 6 feet. And also, I mean, I feel that, many of the neighbors feel that we moved into a planned community. And to have a shed or a pole barn put up in our neighborhood really doesn't go with the aesthetic of the neighborhood. I think there's other options, like they could have lifts in their garage and whatnot else. But I believe that the town of Munster has thoughtfully thought out all the codes and zonings for many reasons. And I just think if the code is, if it's 5,000 above, you can have a 4-car garage, that's how it should be. And if it's 5,000 and below, then you can have a 3-car garage. I think that's what you should stick with. I just feel like making multiple exceptions isn't really going to be good for the neighborhood and for the property values going forward.
Thank you very much. Ms. McQueen, may I characterize your remonstrance as being against the petition?
I'm against it, yes.
Next, please.
My name is Judith Bezick. I live at 1625 Daylily Lane. I've lived here 26 years and I love my quiet, peaceful neighborhood. Me and my husband worked very hard to get to where we're at. And I feel I'm opposed to the garage because she lied to me in the beginning. She said it was a carport, and just like mine, which I have a roof and 4 poles to sit to get away from the sun. She said to me, my husband's going to wash his cars underneath it. I said, oh, that sounds fine. What was going up that day was a pole barn. They even had a patio, a driveway poured that's like 2 yards that I could see from my backyard. I don't see any other neighbor in Meadows of St. George that has if you guys let this garage go in, that I can see it from my backyard, and I'm not going to appreciate that. I object to a second garage going in. And if they want to have 6, 7 cars, go buy 2 acres somewhere that can support that many cars, buy a home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Kim Jun Ling, and I live in the 1616 Lady Lane, and I'm the professor at the Indiana University Northwest. And this issue get my attention. My question is, did they violate the law? If they did not violate the law, and they also got a permit before they built a fence, and why this is an issue? What I know is this is not an issue, and whatever they have many vehicles, that's their private, that's their freedom, and that's their right. But unless every day they have a party, make a noisy, otherwise I really don't understand why this become an issue. Because what I know is they got a permit, and if the law, if they did not violate the law, and I really don't understand why this become an issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. How would you characterize your testimony? Are you for or against?
No, I support.
Support. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Amaka Onia. I live at 1629 Daily Lane. Basically, I'm gonna start with, I spoke with her earlier. And like, Dizzy, she actually mentioned to me that she was putting up, a structure, a carport. And I said initially, yes, sir, that's not a problem. Whatever you do in your house, it's your issue. Then I thought about it. Then she came by next time. But I told her, okay, fine, I'll actually either, if I can't make this meeting, I'll do by Zoom or whatever. Or maybe I could actually vote by proxy. So when she came over to bring the paperwork on the proxy, but then I'd investigate. And I asked her, is it gonna be an actual detached garage? And she said, yes. So I said, covenants to begin with outlaw any solid structures. Now, when you bought the property in that subdivision, we all read those covenants. You cannot have a shed. You cannot have any structure that's permanent for vehicles. You cannot put a camper outside your house. You cannot do any of those such things. So if you allow somebody puts a detached garage, in my opinion, it's technically a pole barn. And if everybody in that subdivision goes willy-nilly and puts up sheds, pole barns, whatever it is, it completely degrades the integrity of the subdivision. Now, let's go on the part of let's see you guys for promissory estoppel. Whoever comes to the courts has to come with clean hands. So if she actually wasn't very forthcoming in the initial application for the plan, which you guys gave, therefore, you're actually not really necessarily that bound by that promise which you gave to give out. You gave a promise for her to build a shed, to build a carport, but not a detached garage. Now, the town of Munster has a maximum of 4-car garages. Okay? Now she wants 5. If the 2-car garage was attached to the property, we'll actually be talking about something completely different. But to completely deride the integrity of the subdivision by putting that up, you know, it's actually decline or reducing the value and reason why people like us actually bought there. Because when I was buying and I saw the fact that I couldn't put up sheds, I said, oh, great neighborhood. The guy who bought across the road from me, unfortunately, he couldn't be here right now. He's actually remodeling. He actually bought because he felt that that street was nice. Things were in order. Yeah, fine. You can have, we don't all have to be cookie cutter. Okay, you can do a certain variance to your property for your aesthetics. Aesthetics is very, very subjective. So that's why some people can paint their houses blue, or let's compare it to red. That's not a problem. But there's some, so it has to be some degree of adherence to various, not what you may call norms. Because at the end of the day, a variance has to be for the public good. Now, what good is it for us to have a 2-car detached garage in the middle of subdivision? If you want one, go to the country and build a pole barn. Okay, there's no common good to it. On your things, on your variances, we'll have a variance. I actually picked this up this morning. To have a variance, one of the things you need to meet is it has to be unnecessary and undue hardship to the person. Yeah, it must impose hardship or practical difficulty on the property owner. Now, tell me what the difficulty is. There's a guy who lives on the other side. He drives a Ferrari, okay? But in the winter, he moves his Ferrari for storage because he doesn't want to park it out on the street. Another guy who lives down Wellwood has the most beautiful collection of vehicles. Lamborghinis, whatever. He has a 3-car garage. What he does, he built a joist. So he drives the first 3 cars up, goes up, he puts the other 3 in. All those people have lived here, yeah, and not for once thought of violating the code and the covenants within which we live in. Okay? So why then don't so, and if it's for security purposes, she put up a gate. No one has a gate. You know, but she put up a gate, that's fine. So secure the property with your gate, if it's for security purposes. But do not put a shed or a pole barn out in my subdivision. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. I would, you characterize your testimony as a gas.
You think?
Thank you. Just for the record, sir, thank you. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Wes Potts. I live at 1726 Timberwood Lane. My wife is here with me and our neighbor as well. She shared with us the difficulty and her concerns. We have sympathy for her. We're supportive of her. We like living in Meadows of St. George. We came here in 1997 when it was just getting started. We were one of the original homes. We saw the neighborhood built up. There's covenants. What are the requirements of the homes? There's codes that the village has in place. We respect all those and we abide by them. And we would expect our neighbors to as well. We want the integrity of our neighborhood kept the same. We have good neighbors. They take care of their properties. We don't want to see changes that are outside of the codes and the covenants that are in place. We support the town on the mandate that they have, 3-car garage for under 5,000 and over that only 4. We support the village in that town, and we are against the variance.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Next, please.
My name is Janet Pulte Papish. I live at 1721 Thistle Lane. I have a question on the background of this. There was earlier permits granted. What made this all change?
So what I can tell you is the permit that was identified or issued or submitted to this town was for a shed. The building inspector was out on site and noticed that what was going up was not what was reflected on the application. They were issued a stop work order.
Right, so I don't understand why the homeowners would submit something to the town and build something else. Did the town see those original plans?
They're part of the application and identify themselves as a shed.
Correct. So they submitted to the town. In my estimation, this is what I'm thinking happened, possibly not, decides to build something else, gets caught by the building inspector because it's not adhering to the plans. And now we're here wanting a variance. Was this the intent all along?
I cannot answer that
Oh,
question.
I mean, that's my question.
I
I
cannot
am
answer that.
strongly opposed to this.
Okay.
Strongly opposed.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Coates. I live at 1722 Thistle Lane. And I'm also a Meadows of St. George resident. And I agree with my neighbors who have stated the reasoning for not approving this. I also agree with the gentleman that spoke about the house on Burlwood with the stackable garage accommodating the luxury cars that they have. It's a very clean aesthetic. It doesn't ruin the neighborhood at all. And I believe that this would be an eyesore to our neighborhood in the way that it's structured. I have other friends who wanted to build additional garages in Munster who have been turned down to turn it into an art studio, whatever it is. And so I don't think that it would be fair to approve this when there are other alternatives for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sergio or Jill, I'm gonna see if there's anybody on Zoom who wants to, and then you can come back up, please. Is it, Jill, could you see if there's anybody on Zoom who wants to demonstrate?
I do not see anyone with their hand up, and there's nothing in the chat.
I'll talk.
Okay. Please
Hi,
state your.
I'm Erica Yamuth. I live on 1624 Timberwood Lane. We are actually kitty corner to the property that we're discussing right now. I'm a pediatrician in the area, actually. I'm in favor of this because the way that she has it set back from the street, number one, it looks very nice. And number two, why is a carport okay, but not something of this nature? I think that a carport is actually exactly the same, except it might have some sides. Silly to me. Number two, it's their property, and if it's set back from the street and done nicely and decorated nicely, I don't think it's an issue. They don't plan on having, all this crazy stuff out there and grilling barbecues and shooting off fireworks. They just want a nice looking something to go with their house to house their own vehicles, which to me is so totally okay. She's not bothering anybody. She's respectful. She's asked everybody. She's been very kind. Not only that, but the Munster already okayed the permits. She hasn't changed the structure of what she was building. She didn't try to pull anything over on anybody. She started to build that, and I think some of the neighbors did not like the idea of it, and so this got brought to attention. There's actually quite a few properties, if you walk around our neighborhood, that do have sheds in the back. I think that it's kind of a, overlooked situation in our neighborhood. I think if we really actually walked around to everybody's property, we'd find a lot of things that are outlawed in our HOA, depending on the neighbor, and, they're not shoving it in anybody's face either. So I don't think that I'm opposed to this. I think I'm very much in a yes of this situation for her.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else on Zoom who wishes to testify?
Yes, I'd like to say a few words. This is Zach Holubowski, 1625 Thistle Lane. My wife and kids and I, we've lived in Meadows for 11 going on 12 years. And we are against this proposed additional garage. We're in favor of maintaining the rules of the town here. And again, there really shouldn't be a variance. I think I'd like more garage spaces too, but I understood that when we bought the house of the size and with the restrictions there, that these are the rules we abide by. And I think it's best for our subdivision and the community to maintain that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else on Zoom?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Randall Parr. I actually represent the Robindrons, and we are prepared to discuss alternative specifications and other modifications to the structure in order to make it more palatable to those who are not in favor. And but I think it's important for everyone to have their say this evening. It appears that there are quite a few. And so we would be in favor of this bifurcated proceeding, where we would then come back in November to finalize the matter as well.
Thank you, Mr. Parr. Anybody else on Zoom? For Zoom only, going once, twice, 3 times, back to live in person, the lady in the back, please.
My name is Dawn. I'm at 9926 Wild Rose Lane in Munster. And
Sorry, Viv, could you say it again into the microphone for our secretary who prepares the minutes?
Sure. My name is Dawn Pelger. I'm at 9926 Wild Rose Lane in Munster, Indiana. And I'm actually for it. The reason why I'm for it is because my guess is when they gave the plans, they also gave sketches and plans. And as a citizen, it really concerns me that if I could submit a plan to you and you can approve it, and either an irate neighbor or somebody doesn't agree with it, could just come in and it cost me thousands and thousands of dollars because you just decided it's an eyesore, I don't want to look at it. So I think as a village, we should work with them. We should tell them what they can and can't do. And then if they have something that they will agree to, and if the plans that they submitted, whether they said shed, Taj Mahal, Garage Mahal, whatever they said, is it isn't to your liking, but the plans were, to me, that would be fine. So my concern here is not whether there's a garage there or whether there's a garage here.
my concern is if I want to build something and everybody approves it, and then either a neighbor's mad at me or a neighbor says, I got a vision of something that may not be true and it's upsetting me, so I'm gonna tell you no. That makes me wanna worry about the town hall's decisions.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, please approach.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Ranganathan Ravi. My wife is also here and I live at 9930 Wild Rose Lane. And I have inside knowledge of this project because the petitioner is my daughter and my son-in-law. So in interest of public disclosure, I want to be very clear that obviously I have a vested interest in saying this. And my question basically is that did the petitioner, did they follow the rules or not? They followed the rules. There was one comment made that the application was made for a different structure and the structure which was coming up is different. From all I know, that is not true. Exactly what the Munster town approved, that is the exact structure that is coming up. And then it was stopped midway after they had sunk in quite a bit of money in the project. And so this needs to be kept in account, whether the original approval was given in contravention of the covenants, that I don't know. Well, that is only the town can reply to that. But whether the structure that was approved is what is coming up is at variance from what it was approved, I can categorically say, because I live right across the house, it is not true, and it is the same structure that was approved. And other than that, I am all for it because this is America. What we do inside our 4 compounds is entirely up to us, and so we are entirely entitled to do what we have to do. It is not a public sore because I have seen what is inside, but I said obviously it is my daughter and son-in-law, so I have a vested interest, but I still have to say what I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Lily Hoffman. I'm at 1628 Daylily Lane. I just have a couple of questions regarding the permit and everything, because I do know we built our house there, so I know all the things. Now, do you have an actual picture of what the actual structure was
We have a
for the permit?
Yes, we have that on file, yes.
I mean, did we get to see what it looked like as opposed to what they're building? Or is that, because that's a public record, correct?
Correct, yes. You can ask for it and we will forward you those records.
Okay, because, I mean,
It's been
so
provided,
with
it's
Munster
been
wrong,
provided in previous cases. I want everybody to understand that, I mean, I totally respect everybody's opinion, whether you're for or against. But I think the only one that's sitting on this zone BZA, and I was on the planning commission, but I don't know that any of this has been through any of us. So we're all new to this.
don't know anything.
So, I mean, and Sergio's new to his job and since then, and Jill is as well. So we don't know what happened in the past. We're just trying to follow the rules as they are today.
Please continue.
no, I mean, basically, as long as they're following plans and Munster approved them, so is Munster responsible then for like breaking the rules?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm asking, because if you're only allowed 3-car garage for 5,000 square foot.
As with several other questions, the town will have answers for the questions at the next meeting. No, sir. You already testified once, all right? Is there anybody who has not testified who wants to testify on this petition? Please.
I'm Mary Ann Pelcha, 9926 Wild Rose Lane. That was my sister back there. I spoke to my neighbor's daughter, and when she told me what happened and had all the prints and stuff, what concerns me as a Munster resident is just what I think what everybody was saying. I just wanted to reiterate. I don't want to come for a permit, and I get a permit, I pay for the permit, and midway after the money's sunk, some money or part of it, then somebody can come by and go, oh, no, we changed our mind. That's what concerns me. I just wanted to And by the way, my sister and I drove by the house before we came here, and you can't even see it. You see a gate. So really, I just don't understand. But that's, I'm for it. I just needed to speak my piece. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There is no this, right?
I know, but.
No, this is not a debate.
Okay.
This is not a debate. Is there anybody else who wants to testify on this petition only? Okay, so what's going to happen next is I'm going to ask the members of the board to make a motion to continue this public hearing till November. All of you are welcome to come back in November, and anybody who wishes to testify again in November is allowed to do so. I will ask the town to prepare answers to any of the questions that are appropriate. And Mr. Wickman, if you can provide a memorandum addressing some of the legal concerns that were raised. Thank you very much. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to continue BZA 2020 or 23-003 in November 14th.
It's been a motion by Mr. Speck to continue the public hearing and petition to November 14th public meeting. There's a support for the motion.
I second that motion.
By Mr. Hemingway. Any question on the motion? If not, Sergio, please call roll.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxell.
Yes, the motion passes, and we will continue this at the November public hearing. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight and voicing your opinion, whether it was for or against. Thank you. Moving on to the agenda, BZA 23-07, Paul Taylor. And Mr. Taylor actually has two petitions, and we will try to handle these at the same time, but have separate votes. Mr. Taylor, please. Hold on one second. Sergio, is there anything you want to add from the staff report or Rachel?
So, I can go ahead and, just give my findings if the board would prefer, and just give a briefing. So initially, the, findings read that, or identified that structures were identified in, or constructed in the 1960s, 1970s, which is, really more of an auto-centric, era, of development. And so they faced towards towards what's identified as a car or automobile courtyard. And so at the time it was socially acceptable to use these types of structures with signage facing inside. Under the current town ordinances, they do not reflect or support those types of developments, and these are identified as pre-existing structures who are now peculiar site, or it's now become peculiar property, and they're seeking to a variance to comply with the current sign standards for wall requirements. However, they would be facing interior towards the parking lot as opposed to the public right.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, is there anything you want to add from the staff report?
No, I believe that covers it.
If you want to have a seat, I'm going to open this up to the public and see if there's anybody wishes to remonstrate on this. So anybody wishing to remonstrate on BZA 23-007 or 008, please approach the podium.
We couldn't hear any of what.
What's it gonna look like?
So we don't know what it, which one it is.
Sergio, can you resummarize?
Sure.
Take the microphone, put it right in front of you.
Yes.
Can you hear that or?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, well, this is really close. All right. So your question was where the site was or what the request was?
What the request was.
So the request is for signage to be located over the existing tenant space for this structure. Let's see. I did not bring an image of the current site, but essentially what it is an L-shaped structure, which the tenants face the courtyard or the parking lot, which is shared between the two structures, two L-shaped structures. And what they're wanting to do is put signage up for each tenant that faces the inside of that private courtyard or automobile courtyard, because the current zoning requires that the signage face the public right of way. And so what they are requesting is that they be allowed to put signage for their tenants facing the interior courtyard as opposed to facing towards the public right of way. That's the request.
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Do you want to ask, sort of,
Who do I ask? Okay, sir.
please go ahead and state your name and address for the record?
My name's Bart Natz, 7925 Forest Avenue. I'm just asking, it's not clear to me, is it just, there's already like on the doors, I guess, there's a sign, so is it like up above, or how big, or
So these would be,
what does it look like? I know there's waters, right, so what are they gonna do?
so what happens is there's current signs there. Once you remove a sign, you lose that, legal non-conforming or the grandfather clause, and then you can't put it back up unless you apply for variance. And in this case, they're trying to change out some of those signs, but they would comply with the current sign size or bulk standards, to get new signs in.
Sure, it just wasn't clear in the legal. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or anybody who wishes to testify on this? Jill, could you please check if there's anybody on Zoom?
Wait, we're good.
Did you say somebody was on? Jill?
No.
No, okay. Please.
Brenda Vandermolen and Roy Vandermolen from 8222 Forest Avenue. We are right behind the property. So just to clarify, they're gonna keep the signage where it is, but just change it. I would just like some clarification.
So as new tenants come into the space, the tenant space, the existing tenant space, they would like to advertise their business. Under the current sign codes, they would not be allowed to put signage up because it faces the interior of the development or of the site. The current codes require that they space public right of way. Allowing this variance to be granted would allow them to change the base or the signage of each tenant space as they come in and as new tenant space comes in or as tenants leave.
Okay, so, we would oppose this. We actually live in the house that's right there. You can see the peak and the garage right there. First of all, it's not a well-kept area, and, there's a huge amount of garbage that's generated from this, complex, which is quite annoying to us because we come home and we have to pick up the garbage all the time. We're totally fine with the window. They have signs in the windows to advertise their businesses. The tobacco place in the front, they had blinking lights that was very annoying and really distracting. And to change the signage, I don't know how tastefully they would be doing it. And it just does not increase property value. I don't think it gives a good feel to the neighborhood or the town of Munster. It's just kind of jazzy and not eloquent. I mean, there is broken brick that's in part of that second building there that someone drove into a couple of years ago that's still not repaired. It's just not well kept, and just going by the past experience of how they handle the property, I don't think it's well done at all, and we would vote to keep it, the code the way it is without the variance.
So if existing tenants move out, they would not be able to advertise with signs above.
Not above there, they can put something like, they have decals on the window. But to put something up above, no.
Because of the way that the building is oriented, you can only put a sign on the front of the building where it's fronting the street. So
Correct.
those tenant spaces that aren't along Ridge Road, no signs, according to our current law.
Right.
So that's why he's asking for a variance. So that's the background.
Okay, but
Yeah,
Hold on.
please.
I have some to add on this too. I do believe that the petitioner does have plans to do some facade improvements on the structure. And that is, this is kind of that first step of making sure that they are able to get the signage in appropriate places that looks more cohesive than it currently does. Sergio, I don't know if that's part of the staff report or not, but there were some plans that had been submitted. I don't know if that is something that we can show as you scroll through.
Rachel, the petitioner is here, so we will ask him.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get a hold of those plans as well.
But just from the picture itself, the sign there is already a sign that's facing the inside of the mall instead of the one that's along Ridge
These
Road.
pictures?
No, those are.
These are from
Yeah.
Highland and St. John.
So correct, that's the.
That's what you're looking to do.
Yes.
So there's
Something.
one on the tobacco that
Yes.
faces the inside.
Right, so they're ready.
But what we're saying is that those are grandfathered in. Those were there before. For them to put up new signage, it's.
The question would be, what would happen if a new tenant moves in?
Right.
XYZ company moves in to replace the tobacco store. They would not be allowed to advertise their name.
It's so limited what they'd be showing anyway. They're showing it the parking lot. If that place would actually take care of it and clean up the garbage and clean up the parking lot.
So we would ask the petitioner to say what he has to, plans he has for the overall appearance.
I think it's also important to note that the signage that is currently on the structure, many of those signs would not be approved with our current zoning code, with our current sign ordinance. So any new signage that would be applied for, if this is approved, would be following the new sign code that the town of Munster has.
But our house is right behind there, so I don't know how bright it would be and how flashy it would be. And we live right there, and it's very annoying to us if it's flashing and it's overly bright. And so just on that basis alone, I would,
Or against.
we prefer to keep the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Nancy Nixon. I live at 8004 Holman Avenue. And I just want to support what they said. We've lived here for 30 years and this property was and is an eyesore. Lots of garbage, lots of everything. So I understand what they're saying. They don't really trust that whatever signage or whatever they do to it will be better than it has been. And so I would have to say, I would agree with them that I don't trust the current owners to make it better.
Thank you very much.
I'm Jeff Nixon, 8004 Holman Avenue. I would agree with the statements just made. This property has always been an eyesore and it's not kept up, as if there's garbage all the time. Another aspect of the nature of the look of this place is the kind of people that come to this. And if you look in police reports, there's a lot of problems that are associated with this property. So again, you can understand a business wanting to promote itself, but you are very leery because of the past history of how they've lived as a community or as a business in this community.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to address this petition? Going once, going twice, going three times. I will officially close the public hearing for BZA 007 and 008. Mr. Taylor, do you want to come up and address any of the concerns?
Yes, please. My name is Paul Taylor. I'm an architect with Taylor Design Architects in Hammond. I've been contracted by the owner of this property. They have
the intent to upgrade the facade of the building. Part of the reason that they want to do that is to get signage onto the building, some new signage for the tenants that really aren't represented on the street side. So we've got a plan to build a parapet around portions of the existing building. And that's where the new signage will be. So if they're not allowed to put new signage up, they're not going to do that project to invest into the property. The current owner of the property has had the property maybe 2 years. I'm not certain. So you can't really put the blame on him for decades of not maintaining the property. Again, he wants to invest into the property to bring it up to a more modern look, update it. And again, part of that is the signage. Questions from the board? Mr. Speck, you look, you have a question.
Have we been provided what they plan to do, and not just the signage, but putting up the new facade and everything?
Yes, we've applied for a permit, but that was sidelined until we got this approval. A building permit, I should say.
Will the building permit be in front of the planning commission?
No,
No, because it's just
because it's a,
It complies with all.
right, when the building permit was submitted, it was flagged because of the sign ordinance, because it would need variances for the signs.
Okay. Are those available? I mean, can we I understand that they want to do the signage, but from the, public's opinion is that, the property's not well kept, there's trash everywhere. I mean, are they doing something to have a place to gather the trash? Are they having a place where they're gonna make it look nicer? What's the improvements they're looking to make before I go against providing separate zoning, in my opinion, to provide them, approval on something that is outside of our guidelines? And
I believe Rachel might want to answer the question.
I have the plans, Jill. If I could share my screen, I can display those. You'd have to enable me to share my screen.
Okay, do you guys know how to do that?
Jill, I think you stopped sharing.
Stop sharing.
There should be an option somewhere on your end that allows participants to share their screen. I don't know if you have like a settings.
I'll make you a co-host, then maybe you can do it.
Yes, let's do that. I'll co-host this.
I'm zooming it.
Oh, there we go. Okay. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, thank you.
So these are the plans that the petitioner has submitted for their project. And this is the building. So we're talking about two variances here, of course. One for the building on the west side and one for the building on the east side. So this is the building that's on the west side. So you can see it's almost like a cap that they would be putting on the structure. The areas here would be allocated for signage. Of course, any of that signage that goes in these spaces would have to comply with the zoning ordinance if this is something that you guys do approve. I believe that if there is a business, each business facade is allowed a sign. And then I think they are also allowed a small window sign as well. So if there's, two businesses here, there could potentially be a sign here, and then there could potentially be a sign here. If one business is using this entire area, there would only be one sign that would be allowed per business.
Mr. Whitland, if the board were to grant the variances, would it be made contingent upon other appearance upkeeps of the property?
Yes. Conditions to be added.
Thank you. Mr. Speck, further questions? Mr. Hemingway,
No.
what is the pleasure of the board?
We'll make a motion.
This is on 007 for only.
We'll make a motion to approve the variance. 23-007.
Any conditions?
With the conditions to improve this being appearance.
Including trash removal?
Find it hard to tie that to the trash removal, but
Where's the, Mr. Taylor, do you, I mean, you're not the owner, I know, I understand, but is there a place for the tenants to put their garbage, put their trash, or are they just throwing it out? Or in New York City, we're just throwing it out in the alley.
It's the customers.
There are garbage, garbage facilities for the tenants. There are two dumpsters.
For the tenants, but you're saying it's the customers that throw it everywhere.
And the lots are never clean.
Sergio, Jill, I'm sure the town has some standard as far as garbage pickup and maintaining.
There are property maintenance standards in our zoning code of enforcement. Person does take care of those things, so we can definitely put this property on her radar to be more watchful of. That's the best I can give.
So, Mr. Hemingway, some to the extent of existing property maintenance state standards are. May I suggest, if the owner could provide waste baskets near the entries to the buildings, that at least gives somebody an opportunity to throw something away instead of throwing it on the ground. Okay. Mr. Hemingway? Sir, the public hearing's been closed. I'm sorry.
with notice that the trash pickup will be met with our codes.
Appropriate waste receptacles.
And appropriate waste receptacles placed in and around the building.
Sergio, you got that? Yes. Is there support?
So the motion is to basically for us to grant the variance, they have to do the improvements that they provided and improve the.
With all the contingencies.
I'll second.
It has been seconded by Mr. Speck.
Yeah, chat on
Is there any question on the motion?
Hearing was closed.
Hearing or seeing none, Sergio, please call the roll.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxton.
Yes, the motion carries. Now for BZA 008.
The motion to approve BZA docket 23. Do we have to go through this all again?
Yes, you have to go through the identification of what you're doing.
Do we need to do the specific contingencies?
No, do we have to open up that back for public?
No, we did that, yeah.
Okay, so I can make a motion.
Yes, you may.
Okay. So I can make a motion to approve BZA docket 23-008, where they meet the building improvements that they have submitted, along with proper trash receptacles and clean up and make their property look acceptable to the town of Munster.
So meet the maintenance standards and trash recycling. Is there support for that motion?
I second that motion.
By Mr. Hemingway. Any question on the motion? You're seeing none, Sergio, please.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxton.
Yes, the motion carries by a vote of 3-0. Mr. Taylor, please work with the town, and you've heard the comments from the neighbors and their considerable concerns, so we want the owner to be considerate of their concerns. So Thank you. Okay, thank you. BZA 23-009, Family Dental Care. Is the petitioner here? Sergio, did you want to have anything in addition to the staff report?
No, I can brief
Please.
the board if they'd like. So, Family Dental is seeking a developmental standard variance to allow 2 wall signs, the overall height of the maximum allowed by ordinance. According to the town's code, table 26-6.701B, the sign size indicates that the overall maximum height of a wall sign shall be 48 inches. The petitioner is currently requesting a variance to allow for 2 of these signs, with the overall height of one being 73 inches and the other one being 71 inches. The image you see there is what's being proposed. The applicant or the petitioner has previously submitted a sign application that does comply with the current town codes. However, for aesthetic purposes, my understanding is that they would like to change that to the proposed signage.
Thank you. Petitioners, do you have anything to add to what the county just presented?
I'm Laura Peters. Thank you for letting us come today. Our argument is basically, we understand that we're supposed to argue a hardship. And we feel this is what's been approved. Sure, it looks nice, but the architecture of the building is a triangle. And because we're a healthcare facility, patients are looking for what's aesthetically pleasing. That's kind of what draws them in. So we're trying to get more patients. We're trying to serve the area. And we feel because of the triangle, the teeth being on top is going to be more aesthetic and allow more consumers to come in. We basically are investing $2 million in this, and we're hoping to serve this community for decades to come. And we think that will be a lot more pleasing to the consumers.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the board?
Can I add?
Sure, please.
Hi, my name is Alex Salimas. I'm the main dentist of the Family Dental Care, CEO of the Family Dental Care. Thank you very much for allowing us to present this. I just want to add that we're not increasing the real estate, whatever it is that you guys approved. We're using the exact same footage. It's just we'll want to put it on top because we prefer this sign if the triangle wasn't there. Because the triangle of the building is there, it's like we feel like we don't have a choice in order to make it aesthetic. Also, the emitted light to the neighborhood, to the street, it will be the exact same because of the exact same real estate. We're not changing the real estate at all. We're doing the exact approval. We're just stacking it differently because of the triangle. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Linus, before you leave. No, Dr. Linus, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you a member of the Academy of General Dentistry?
Yes, sir. I'm a fellow.
Thank you.
And also soon to be a master.
For the record, please let it reflect that I am an employee of the Academy of General Dentistry. With that being said, I do not believe that Dr. Linus being one of 40,000 members is my ruling on this petition will be in any way affected. Any questions from the board? If not, I will open this up for public hearing. Anybody wishing to testify on this petition only? Yes, please.
I have a question.
Please go on up.
Oh, no, sorry. When you said about the height, is it?
State your name and address.
Oh, sorry. Nancy Nixon, 8004 Holman Avenue. And you said about the height, is each like Family Dental Care, that's 6 feet tall, and then the other one, the teeth are 6 feet tall?
The total height from the very topmost graphic to the bottom of the Y, that is 71 inches. On
Oh,
this
okay.
side.
So
And
it's a
this
total.
one is 73. So this was a little bit bigger.
Okay, so it's a total of,
Yes.
and then the town requires it just to be 48.
24, I believe, is right. I'm out of my element here.
It's 48 inches on a wall.
Yeah, I thought they said 48.
Yes.
Oh, okay, it says 24 inches on this.
And is this lighted? Or is this just?
No.
No, okay. Well,
Will it be lit?
Yeah.
It will be lit.
it will be lit.
It's just, there's light on it or those.
Is it gonna be like
No, it's internal.
internally illuminated?
In the back.
Okay, oh, from the back, not in the letters,
Inside the letters, or?
Inside the letter.
inside the letters, okay. Okay, well, when you were saying 72 inches, I was thinking, each one would be. So I like it better stacked. I think it looks better than having it straight across. So that's all.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Michael Gepford, 10380 Oxford Place. So I haven't been here a while, but I think you all know me from Zoom, and this is what I always talk about, right? I come up here and I say we passed a ordinance, and that everybody should adhere to the sign ordinance, and if there's no hardship. But you know what? I'm here this time. I'm going to say that as the petitioner stated, it's the same amount of real estate. They're just stacking it. Yeah, I think I agree. It looks better in that triangle. It's not any bigger. It's not like the letters are any different. It's just the way they're stacking it. Looks great.
Thank you.
Can we make sure we get that on record?
One time only.
Jerry, are you representing?
I am not,
Oh, okay.
but I'm speaking as a business owner in
And
the
please,
town.
name and address for the record.
And Scott Gainey, 9301 Calumet Avenue, Suite 2F. I did represent the petitioner in the first phase here. Had specific discussions about this presentation. And he was in a difficult position because he was asking for a number of, he had asked this board for relief. I think I suggested this is much more aesthetically pleasing. I understand and had discussions at that time that it does not comply with the ordinance. It seems to me, obviously, this is in your discretion, but it seems the sort of thing that it's not going really beyond your sign ordinance. You just can't craft it for every scenario. So just ask for that consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Eby. Anybody else wishing to address BZA 23-009? Going once, going twice, going three times. I will close the public hearing. Petitioners, is there anything that you wanted to add additionally?
No, I think that everybody, the people that supported it explained it pretty good.
Questions from the board, Mr. Speck?
I have no questions. I make a motion to approve BZA.
Hold on. Mr. Hamilton?
Okay, I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Speck, now.
I make a motion to approve BZA docket 23-009 as submitted because I think it looks a whole lot better as presented than as the town's requirements.
Fair enough. Mr. Hemingway, what's your?
I do support that.
Then a motion to support by Mr. Hemingway to approve the petition as requested. Any question on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, Sergio, please.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxton.
Yes. Motion for variance is granted. Dr. Linus, you have your variance. Please work with town on all further details.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, BZA 2310. We have a request by petitioner to continue. What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to continue as submitted BZA docket 23-010.
Motion by Mr. Speck to continue. Is there support?
I second that motion.
Mr. Hemingway to continue to the November meeting. Any questions on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, Sergio, please.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxton.
Yes. Petition 2310 is continued to the November meeting. Moving on to findings of facts, 23-002, Munster Investment LLC. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to accept that.
The motion by Mr. Hemingway to approve
3-002.
as presented. Is there support for the motion?
I second.
By Mr. Speck. Any question on the motion? Hearing or seeing none, Ms. Sergio, please.
Mr. Hemingway,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Chairman Buxton.
Yes. Findings of fact are approved as presented. Are there any additional items for discussion?
No, I have.
Our next regular business meeting is November 14th, 2023. I will entertain one last motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Speck at 8:02. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are officially adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for coming, and it's great to see everybody.
Thank you.
All right, we call to order this meeting of the Munster Planning Commission for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Please set your phones on stun and let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Mendoza, are you the one running the show today?
I will, yes, sir.
All right, please call roll.
Ms. Brannigan. Dr. Kulturitis.
Present.
Ms. Millen.
Present.
Mr. Rappin is not here today. And Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Present.
Chairman Baker.
Present, we have a quorum. In the records for all to see, next up is a preliminary hearing, PC 23-024. Sky Yenny's requesting approval of a preliminary plat to consolidate 3 existing lots on the western side of Indiana Parkway into one contiguous 6.9885 acre lot at 9750 Indiana Parkway. Oh, I'm sorry, approve the minutes. Thanks.
In a hurry, we've been here a long time.
And we've been here for a while. There's a motion in a second, Mr. Mendoza.
Ms. Brannigan.
I approve. Sorry.
Dr. Kulturitis.
Yes.
Ms. Millen.
Yes.
Mr. Speck.
Yes.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Aye.
And Chairman, Baker.
Yes. All right, I said all that stuff, Mr. Yaney. I'm assuming you're going to speak on that. Please state your name and address for the record.
Scott Yaney, appearing on behalf of Floyd's Concern. My business address is 9301 Calumet Avenue, Suite 2F in Munster. We do have before you, we're at our first meeting. We have a preliminary plat approval that we're seeking. Also, our engineer, Ryan Smikowski, is on Zoom available to us. I'm aware of, obviously, you getting a late start this evening. We've got to come back to you in November. It was suggested to me that I just be very brief and ask that we be set for that public hearing in November. Also, within, probably about 5 days or less, we will also be filing the final plat application and a development plan, which also coincides with this preliminary plat. And to sort of bring us back and now forward. In 2018, I was here before you. We had this, basically what is this plat fully approved at that time. It sat behind me in my office with signatures for easements that I had ready to go and record. Pandemic, a few other events hit. We didn't end up doing that. We no longer need to exchange easements of streets and sidewalk with the town. So this preliminary plat has been adjusted slightly from that plat, but for the most part, it is the same. And right now, whereas we have 3 lots for 3 Floyds, we're going to consolidate that down to 1. Basically, everything on the south side of Indiana Parkway will be consolidated into 1 lot now. We can't consolidate on the west side. I'm sorry, on the north side, because that's on the other side of the street. We can't have it in it. So it's going to have its own separate lot number, but those will have ultimately our subdivision that we're seeking approval for. We can go into detail, but also I'm thinking you might like to move it along. And Mr. Kimmel, who is my client here, is anxiously telling me to get along.
As long as it needs.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
All right, one of the things I'll ask a question, Mr. Yaney, is that for the next meeting to have some breakdown between what was removed from last time we saw this and went through this entire process, and it was pulled to what is happening now, including why we're subdividing your entire program. Mr. Mendoza or Jill, was there anything from the town as to speak on behalf of what's going on here?
Just a quick briefing, essentially there are 4 lots of record, they're
Into this.
combining them into 2. Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really close.
I know, but if you aim it to your face and you put, there you go.
There's essentially 4 lots of record, they're looking to combine them into 2 lots of record for future expansion, in which, expansion of the facility, in which, Attorney Yaney has indicated they will provide a plan, or a development for that. Expansion of that.
Bill, maybe will you have that up? I'm just gonna point one thing out to you real quick, right
This
there.
page right here? You want me to rotate it for you?
No, this is perfect, right here where you see this cross hatching. We were going to essentially swap land with the town. And there was going to be crossways parking on Indiana Parkway. That has been eliminated from this plan. There are probably some other adjustments. I'll make sure Ryan gives you a red line version of this so you can see. He did the last plat as well.
Thank you. Anything else from Mr. Yanni? Okay, folks, you know how to work this.
Is there going to be plenty of parking? I mean, with all the things that they're doing, I mean, this is just a plat, so I can't tell what it is. I mean, I know they have parking across the street of Indiana Park. But on these 4 lots that are combined, are there gonna be more parking within that?
So part of our petition before BZA, I guess we'll get to that in November as well, addresses the specific number of parking spaces. There are a number, we exceed the demand for what is going in there. And as part of the plan, you'll see these existing spaces, the spaces in front of the distillery, and then there will be some additional spaces in
I have
front
no
of.
idea what your point is.
I'm sorry, you're right. At least folks do.
Okay, well, thank you, folks.
I apologize.
Yeah, understood. Thank you.
But we will have a detailed parking, that is included in our plans, and you're going to see when the final engineering is filed here in the next week or so, you'll see all that delineated. But we will certainly make a point to let you know exactly what that is, both at the BZA hearing next month and then again at this commission's hearing.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move the grant preliminary primary plat approval, including all discussion and findings, and to set DC 23-0244 November 14, 2023 public hearing.
There's a motion, is there a second? And a second, any discussion?
Just like to make a comment that Pretty Floyd is an exciting partner and a great partner for John Munster. At least as a member of the planning commission and town council, I'm glad to hear this project is undead. I'm glad to see undead, rises from the dead.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing you next month and seeing some more detail.
Fantastic.
If I want to make a side comment, we've gotten some feedback from members, residents of the town as we're doing our water tower restorations. And there's if you go, when you drive out, if you see, or won't be illuminated now, there's a nice Munster Mustang on the water tower. I see in a lot of your drawings, there's a prominent water tower quite near this property. And Pretty Floyd is known for their graphic design. So that might be something that your bosses might be interested in talking to the town of how can we make something really.
I'm sure that's against the signage variance.
We'll do our best. I will say the last time we were here, we did work on easements for that tower, and I know they'd be excited to work with you within the confines of the ordinance.
There are only so many ways that that the communities can. If you drive around the country, you'll see a lot of cool water towers, and this could be one.
Definitely make that known.
Thank you.
Any other comments? There's a motion and a second, Mr. Mendoza.
Ms. Brannigan.
Yes.
Dr. Kotaro.
Yes.
Ms. Mellon.
Yes.
Mr. Speck.
Yes.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Yes.
Councilman Baker.
Yes. Moving right along to public hearings, PC 23-021, Matt Kimball, Centennial Village LLC. Is requesting approval of an amendment to the Centennial Village Plan Unit Development Revision to the CB Design Standard and Site Plan to include revisions to the size, location, and shape of building N and O. First off, Mr. Mendoza, something to add on this? We had talked about it last month.
Yeah, there have been some changes, some recent changes with regards to location of building O. The applicant is now requesting that building O be centered along that boulevard. And but other than that, and then the relocation of building N, but it seems to be outside of the scope of work at this point in time, and they outlined it in red, the purpose of the location of the work to be done. That's essentially what, the changes occurred from last month.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for staff before I open this up to the petitioner? Either none, gentlemen, please state your name and address for the record.
Matt Kimmel, 631 Kearney Drive, Dyer, Indiana, Centennial Village LLC. Yes, like stated already, we're here to get the PUD design standards for Centennial Village modified to not only relocate this building O, but also, and I've met with several of the Plan Commission members over the last 2 or 3 weeks via Zoom, just to inform them, show the difference between the old location and the new location, and just the benefits of having it centered on Village Parkway and give it the prominence that it deserves as a landmark hotel, as being a Tapestry by Hilton, which we believe will be the nicest full-service hotel in Lake County. That, along with a few other minor changes that are part of the PUD design, which is some allocation of square footage and some material designs allocations for the exterior of the facade. But we believe that this, there's some renderings, I don't know if you can see it, of the building. We are starting to figure out exactly how it lays out in the site. We've got some soil borings going to be taking place in the next month, but we're here with some additional details. Russ has brought a few answers to questions that you all had coming out of last month's meeting, so I'll turn it over to him.
Sure. Russ Posen with DVG with the Civil Engineers, 1155 Trotline Road, Crown Point, Indiana. Previously, you did have a question about the square footage of the buildings. The building O or N was that middle building. That was the anchor that this is replacing. That was 42,000 square feet. Building N now is being reduced down to 16,000 square feet in the newer location. Thank you very much. In the newer location, new configuration. So that is a 26,000 plus reduction. Obviously, building O is changing quite a bit. It's kind of replacing that location and the anchor, if you will, of this area. It is going from a, just 7,000 square foot to a 98,000 square foot, but it has a hotel. So that is there's a net increase building square footage of about 60,000 square feet. However, there's definitely some intricacies of that add to the benefit to the community of that. It's not just added retail. It is a hotel. It is a banquet space, which is replacing a very prominent large banquet space over at the Centennial Park, the park. So there's other uses and other interior, items that this hotel that'll bring to the community that the town of Munster does not have, and that really could desperately use. Matt can get into more of those details. You did have some questions about parking, and on this site, I looked at, obviously this is a concept and there'll be detailed engineering as we proceed forward. But these two facilities combined, O and N, need about 203 parking spaces. The land plan easily shows 220 plus. And as we nail that down, we'll obviously meet the PUD ordinance. But just in the space that we show right now, we're exceeding that. So those are some of the details I think you were very interested in knowing. And we can get into more details, and Matt can get into more details of the added square footage and actually the benefit beyond just Centennial Village that this offers.
That it?
That's it.
That's it. All right, bring it back to the board. Any questions for the petitioner before I open it up for public hearing?
I just
Yes, ma'am.
have a statement and a question. I think centering the building is a great idea. I think that's perfect. And also a question about the parking. Just you're certainly taking into account the event space parking, right? Because not all of those, banquet space, event space
not everyone would be staying at the hotel, so is that a separate parking calculation? If you're having a wedding, you know, where are all those people gonna go?
The parking calc in consideration of that is, I didn't get into the details of that. However, the way that Centennial Park, or Centennial Village obviously works is that there is a lot of businesses that are opened and used at completely different times. And there is always a parking agreement with the facilities. So the parking that is nearby can get used and added. But just to really nail down your question, that is something that we'll really consider even further as we get down to the actual site development plans, when you got the real topo, real limits and all that 9 yards. So it's a very nice question. Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner?
This might be more of a question for staff, just related to Ms. Brannigan's comment. What is the guidance, or is there guidance for banquet type facilities, what the parking ratio ought to be?
So the PUD requirements outlined in the plan identified and some staff reports here, it says the 1.05 parking spaces per number of hotel room units is what's identified currently in the design standard or the standard. Yeah.
No, I understand that. The question is more general in the overall zoning code for the town. If we were to have just a banquet facility, I don't know if there was something applied for the clubhouse currently.
Yeah, no, we can look for that and then share that with the petitioner to see if they can meet those requirements as well.
It seems like it would be adequate, but just curious what that guidance would be.
No, absolutely, and I think that was a great question asked, looking for the impact on what the use is and see if that can meet the current standards here that we have in our codes.
Yeah, I'd clearly like to work with you on that. The point that Russ was making has been very critical in Centennial Village for peak parking times for different types of uses. And even within the hotel itself, there will be different functions within the hotel. Not just the hotel rooms, but then on the first floor, there's a retail space that will likely be closed during the time of which some of the banquet space may be used. So there's offsetting demands for parking that actually happen not only within building O, the hotel, but also around the surrounding areas.
Yes, you can building I is the office space, and that's the co-location.
Yeah, co-working space and building I.
Yeah, that's the one kind of.
It's a 3-story building.
So that would likely not be open during a wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing. If you'd like to help us or have any comments with regards to this particular petition, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Big time stuff. Yes, sir.
Michael Gephardt, 10380 Oxford Place. Can you go to the picture of the hotel? Does this current design meet the whatever the standards are for Centennial Village? Or is it an exception for a building like this? And the reason that I ask is it seems like all the Centennial buildings right now are the same. You know, they're the brown brick and they're that design. And this is really separating this building out from the rest of this development. I'm sure Hilton loves that, but you know, it's definitely separating out from the rest of the development as a whole. Can you go back to the map of the overview, the two of them? Can you go to the first one? How it is currently? Yeah, this one. So
this is the original proposed.
oh, that's the original.
Yes.
Okay, and what's the next one down? This one here?
was where the hotel was gonna be here instead of.
I see. Instead of
shifted
center.
up to the north. a little.
Okay, the other thing I saw about this is as everybody, you know, this was a nice park that we all use as a community, and you know, the restaurants here are great. You know, I love this. I didn't love the idea of losing the park, but we're at this part. That ship's long sailed, and this has been a really great development. As you come into the park, it's really like the other view. It looks really nice. You come into the park, sorry, into the Centennial Village, and what I saw was you pull in and you have a great view of the lake. This blocks that from everybody else seeing it. Again, I think Hilton will love that. They monopolize the view of the lake there, but just a point that I was thinking of. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm closing the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Aside from the parking, we got 60,000 additional square feet going into the property. What y'all think?
President Baker, could I actually respond to those comments made?
Sure.
So, when you look at the design of this building, the first floor is precisely the same as all the other buildings, where it has cast stone, has the up and down lights. It's the uniformity across Centennial Village. So we will have the same look on the first floor like all the buildings do.
But the white color, does that,
There's no color specifics within the current development standards, right? So you could-
all the other buildings, like?
that was our choice to do it that way, in sort of a neoclassical design.
Yeah.
So we could make, colors or something that's.
I can't imagine, since you've already built one of the 4 main center buildings, you already built one of those, one color. I can't imagine you have those different colors.
Those would be very similar in look, right?
Yeah.
But this is a different building for a different use. So anyhow, we're very sensitive about the uniformity, consistency of the design, particularly. It's very unique at nighttime, I think, and thank you for your compliment about Centennial Village. We work hard at getting these architecturally pure and we want to maintain that. So we're very focused on it. So that's all I have to say.
But this isn't the final rendering, is it, Mr. Kimball, as it relates to the hotel? Because you can see in that aerial, I mean, that's a very distinct look, I think, to the gentleman's point, that you don't see any of that contrast, if you will, on the hotel. Other than those
are just color contrasts and sort of details, but you look at the details here around the corbels and the casing around the windows and the ornate facade, fascias and cornices. That's just a little bit different form of detail than what's on the prior buildings.
It's different. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move to send a favorable recommendation to the town council for BC 23-021, an amendment to the Centennial Village PUD to change the size, location, and shape of building O in Centennial Village planning unit development.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Oh, second.
And a second, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd just like to address what, our resident, Mr. Gephardt said, mentioned about the centering of it, that it blocks the lake view. Where this, and I'll be quick, but just to give a little, background, there was a resident, and you saw the original placement, to the,
Yeah, we just locked it anyway.
well, the original, so, another resident came who's an architect and said, hey, you're in the preliminary stages, you're not building these buildings yet, so would you consider opening up that view to the lake? And that seemed like a really good idea, given the type of building, that was a very large, just kind of block building. And so Mr. Kimmel, looked at that and moved the buildings around. But when this hotel, design, which I believe is very unique to the area, when he came with that, and he put it there, and then he said, would you mind looking at it going in the center? Because to your point, the way everything looks, everything's uniform in it. Now that bottom level, that's gonna have the same type of, well, it's not what it's stone or cast stone. When you move it to the middle, the symmetry of the entire, development is better. And what Mr. Kimmel showed us is that when you look at, or at least he showed me it, walking down, the lake is low, and so you couldn't really see it that well. So I reconsidered what I was originally thinking that the other resident had said. I thought it was very valid comments until this building that's very unique and it makes it very symmetrical, and the fact that you couldn't see it before. And we're gonna have all those bike paths behind there. And then I think Mr. Kimmel is also going to be beautifying by the lake, right? I mean, you're gonna, as far as the grass down there. So people will be able to use it besides the hotel guests, is what I'm referring to. So I just want to let you know that there have been many thoughts and discussions put into it, not just,
can't see it, it's a moot point anyway. It's not like Michigan, so I understand.
Yeah, we're hoping to beautify it, make it into a much more desirable.
And my understanding is that it's a tapestry by Hilton. It's not Hilton bringing a tapestry. So
That's correct. So
you
just
kind
to
of-
clarify,
when you look at this, it doesn't, where it reads tapestry there, it doesn't scream like the brand name to you. It's more like,
this
seems much more like a boutique hotel.
This is a design hotel by us. Hilton does not dictate, they don't have any prototypes for tapestry. It's on the backs of the owner and developer of the hotel to design it however they wish. They have certain standards you have to meet, but this is our design for this development. You know, lighting, the symmetry, the views, the sight lines, all the things that are important to us. And we think it's a stunning look. We actually do have an architect involved that's won the ULI national competition for boutique hotels 3 or 4 years ago. So he's on staff working with us to make this a very special place.
I meant no disrespect. It's a beautiful boat. Thank you.
Can I use this opportunity to ask a question? President Baker, you started off by saying a recommendation to the town council, but just for the relocation. It's the entire PUD amendment, correct?
My motion, I was following guidance from staff. I do understand that is all the changes that we've reviewed, the 35% down to 20%.
Correct, thank you.
5 stories.
Okay.
That was the intent of my
Nope,
motion.
just clarification, appreciate it.
Size, location, shape. Yeah, and let's add them and the other suggested changes to the PUD.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the motion in the second?
I don't know if Ms. Bryan, maybe we need to read out for a second.
I will second.
Mr. Wickland, does that meet the public sector requirements for this kind of a situation?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Mendoza?
Ms. Brannigan.
Yeah.
Dr. Kulturitis.
Yes.
Ms. Mellon.
Yes.
Mr. Speck.
Yes.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And Chairman Baker.
Yes. All right, folks, we'll see you again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Next up, PC 23-025, Tim Lentz, Ton of Blank, requesting approval of a development plan for a hospital expansion with a 5-story addition on the southwest side of the campus, parking lot expansion, helipad relocation to central plant addition, and site work to accommodate the new addition at 701 Superior Avenue. And I would assume that's the Franciscan Hospital, sir. And Mr. Mendoza, you have something to add before we get it over to this gentleman?
The only thing I would identify is that there are on the staff reports, you can see, I think at the last meeting, there was some discussion as to which is actually happening or what's actually happening. You can see an existing and a proposed, the structure themselves as to where the additions are proposed is going to be occurring in the dark gray. The light gray is an existing, so hopefully that helps identify the changes that are being presented or will be presented to you this evening.
Thank you. Back to the board. Any questions for staff before I let this young man have a shot at this? Either none, yes, sir. State your name and address.
Tim Lentz, 1623 Greenwood Avenue, Michigan City. I'm with Ton of Blank representing Franciscan Health. No surprises here. This is the same development that we looked at as an interim PUD plan at the last meeting that was approved at the last meeting. And so what we're looking at today, and if you want to go to the rendering, that's probably the easiest way to see.
It's one that is, I can't. There it is, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a 5-story hospital addition to the campus, which will serve diagnostic, inpatient, and other hospital diagnostic needs. And you can see it's nestled within what is now a courtyard and the current dock, as well as a central plant addition that serves that building. So the goal of this addition is to look like it belongs in the campus that has always been there. So you can see from the renderings, we're using similar or same materials that are on the rest of the campus, and it really is hidden behind the main entrance. We're not trying to change the look of the campus, only add this as a feature to the campus. This project also includes all of the site work for required parking for this addition, as well as the vertical expansion that was previously reviewed. So all of the parking for both developments are included within this project.
Is there more?
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
Ready to answer any questions you have.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Mr. Speck, you have a question?
So last month, we looked at, it was, adding on to one of the buildings, correct?
So there's been a couple different things. We had a PUD amendment that we looked at last month. That amended because of the FAA height requirements that allowed this building to be 5 stories and adjusted the height of the building because of height limitations based on the FAA. We also had another development plan review for the vertical expansion, which is what is now the cancer center, is now 3 stories, is going to 6 stories, part of the original PUD, but that was a development plan review. So this is the development plan review for the hospital expansion.
Okay, so in what order is this being done?
So the vertical expansion, hospital expansion will happen simultaneously. Both are in design now, and we're still designing the interior of both of the spaces, but are, as you can see, the core and shell is well underway. So both are planned to happen immediately.
Both are planning to happen immediately. Any other questions? I have one. Mr. Lentz, can you speak specifically, well, let me start this to staff. Has staff spent time as it relates to the power plant and the concerns when this originally went in this location? Is it related to all of the tanks that were next to the street and with the amount of truck traffic that goes up in there? They met all those concerns that the town has as it pertains to the safety component of that and what they're relocating and how that's going to look at the end of this project? Looking at you, Jill.
I know I have not reviewed these plans at all, so I can answer.
Okay, but this is a development plan review for this particular project, that is.
It is.
And Mr. Lentz, let me ask you that same question.
So we are relocating the main bulk oxygen. It's
away from the street.
It's I think
Or closer to the street.
slightly further from the street, not substantially further. It's on the opposite side of the access drive. Still has all the required fencing around the oxygen tank. I mean, it's standard, there's standard requirements for those bulk oxygen tanks that will meet.
Is there a standard requirement, and bear with me here, considering the amount of semi-truck traffic that have come in before us here in this particular body, about other projects in that particular area, about them stacking along, the hospital. Are you familiar with that situation?
No.
Okay. It happens.
We are putting substantial fencing on that side, especially with brick and louvers. So there will be protection from the roadway to the oxygen tank.
So Jill, has the town got additional issues with regards to the stacking going into the GE distribution facility, similar to what we heard a couple of years ago?
I think the stacking generally happens further to the west on Superior, but I don't know of any issues per se with them doing that.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I just do agree with your concern on what street is that as far as Superior. Also the bus barn is over there for Munster, which buses going in and out, and I was just over there last week and just the amount of semi-trailer, it's not a great street, so I think if you can improve it, but certainly I don't think a fence is gonna really keep anyone from running through that.
No, we run through buildings and everything.
And I'm just on the daily here and
Well, I mean, I want the oxygen tank protected as much as you do, because it's vital to the operation of the hospital. So we can look at ways to protect that and make sure. I mean, the fencing that I'm talking about is actually concrete foundation, brick fencing, but we could add bollards and we can do other protections if needed. I mean, I don't want it to go down any more than you want it to be hit, so.
sure.
I mean, and there's not speed, it's just for the one guy that just happens to just keep rolling. That's what's gonna happen.
The nature of the oxygen, the bulk oxygen, I mean, it's on the back of our property. It needs to be accessible, obviously, for reasons of deliveries and delivering the oxygen. So it does have to be with relation to a drive, and it has to be accessible by a semi truck that comes and delivers the oxygen. So there's kind of an inherent danger there, but we can definitely look at how we can protect it further from Superior.
So this is a development plan review. What about the 45th Avenue signal? Is that part of this particular construction?
So we don't have a traffic study included in this submission. We have done traffic counts. The traffic counts show that that it does not warrant a signal at this time, at this level of development. We can formalize that, but at this time, it does not show that a traffic signal is warranted there.
What formalizes that from the standpoint of the town?
Volume, mostly turning movements at which.
Coming from the hospital or turning into the
anything
hospital?
at this, is this where you want to put the
Because
signal?
I don't know.
That's where the
about you,
signal is
but
shown.
45th is awful dang heavy. There's a lot of traffic there. So I don't know what the trigger.
We
would
did
be
traffic
for-
counts in and out of every entrance of our hospital, so we'll be
So
able
just
to.
in and out of the hospital, not the actual traffic going by.
I think we did both. Yeah, we did. We have.
It was all along the road, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys look at
Yes.
45th and, yeah, I asked them to look at 45th and Calumet as well. Like-
So how much square footage are you guys adding now with this particular expansion as part of this development plan? Square footage,
175,000.
so 175,000, so that's significantly gonna increase the amount of volume on site, fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so are they primarily gonna be directed in from however technology works now to come in through Superior or come out 45th?
So they'll still be directed. The main entrance doesn't change, still from the north.
Still from the north, which would be 45th.
Right. And that's taken into account. There will be additional traffic that comes in off of Superior, mostly to access the expansion for the cancer center. So once again, the traffic study that we've done takes those things into account, the anticipated additional volume to the campus.
So this again feeds into what we keep continually talking about, coming from the south part of town, going towards the Borman Expressway, the amount of volume of traffic that's going to get continually added with all the new investments in Munster, and that what that's going to do to the thoroughfares in our infrastructure. It's great to look at each as a snapshot, but it'd be really outstanding if we looked at it as a strategic, overall plan, is how all of this new development and new investment in the community is going to impact the path to the Borman, which is where all these people are going. And I don't know how to ask it any other way other than keep asking it. Is it a comprehensive plan question? Is it an individual? Baker just keeps talking about traffic studies and we keep just adding more trucks and more people with the same amount of infrastructure, or it's just the way it is.
So just working the mouse.
So who would I direct that to? Is that a town council meeting? Maybe we have some council members here. Is it a staff situation? So we're adding hotels, we're adding more to the brewery, we're adding more to the hospital. We're adding Maple Leaf, we're adding Kenmar. So I can't beat the drum anymore.
So, can I just chime in real quick? My thoughts are then the town may want to look or explore a thoroughfare plan specifically for some of these future land uses. I've seen plans before that are developed based on anticipated land uses, and they're identified certain codes and what structures or improvements are needed for that type of capacity.
Well, Mr. Mendoza, this may be outstanding since you're new to the forest and I'm so close to the tree, I might not be able to see the big picture anymore. Is that all these things have been approved, but there doesn't seem to be a comprehensive traffic study that's come in front of us to say this is how these traffic signals are going to be able to help control the flow.
So we may have a thoroughfare plan on file that maybe did not take into account some of the new proposals that are coming down by participating. And we can look at that and see where we're at on the study that was done and where we were at the time that was done or was anticipated, and see if one would merit a new thoroughfare plan study.
That's all I could ask.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
I know at the time of the departure of a previous town planner, we were in the midst of a comprehensive plan. You mentioned comprehensive plan, which has kind of been put on hold, at least as far as I'm aware. As this picks up, I mean, clearly you make a good point, of all the development, that this might be a consideration or thoroughfare plan put into, you know, version 2.0, however that unfolds in the coming months and years.
And we have similar engineers that do a lot of this work, so that you guys could help as far as how much more square footage you keep adding to the south part of town, where the majority, how much goes to the north? I don't know, say 80%, just because that's what it feels like, but as more and more square footage and more density, we're not even talking about the train, so that's not gonna change what happens on Calumet Avenue, North Ridge Road.
The train doesn't go on the street though.
No, people drive it. Oh, except I know you ride the bike and people walk, but you know, for the most part, you know.
There are 98 spaces at the south, main and Dyer, I believe.
Is there?
And to your point, I
Yeah.
think that's not, yeah, there'll be a lot.
So people will, there's more density coming on. So anyway, I digress. So any other questions? All right, let's say.
Move we approve PC 23-025 development plan for the expansion of Franciscan Medical Campus for a new 5-story building, a new central plant, a new 375 space parking lot, the expansion of the existing parking with an additional 154 parking spaces, relocate the helipad further north and relocate the existing Superior Avenue access further west.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Once, going twice.
No public comments?
Yeah, well, yeah, let's do public comments. Yes, sir.
Jerry Kuipers, 217 Carby Place. Two comments. First off, one comment about the oxygen situation with that oxygen tank. I'm a retired fire chief, but I think if you talk to your fire chief in the town, he might be able to give you some good input on that, because in the National Fire Code, there's recommendations for barriers for various types of tanks that could probably be applicable to that. So you might want to ask, you might get some good input from him on that.
Yes, sir. He sees this.
And my original comment is, I live at 217 Carby. About 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we bought a lot there and we built a house. We were required to put a sidewalk in front of that house. My neighbor, 2 houses down in the corner, because he was on a corner lot, was required to put 2 sidewalks on there, both on the sides where there was public access. I go down 45th Street, and I'm assuming, if my assumption is correct, let me know and my comment will be done, but I'm assuming that Franciscan owns the property all the way to 45th. Am I correct in that assumption? If I'm correct in that assumption, there's no place to walk there. Not all the businesses in town have sidewalks anywhere in front of their property where there's public streets. In fact, if you go to Garber, just to the west of there, or Gerber, just to the west of, they got a sidewalk there. Whole Foods has a sidewalk in front of there, but as soon as you get to the Franciscan property, there is no sidewalk at all. It's just grass. Now, the current town council and some people in this town have their shorts in a bunch over this Ridge Road project where you're going to lower it to 1 lane. I'm not here to discuss that, but one of the issues of that is supposed to be safety issue, because you know, you got people on the sidewalk and traffic and everything. Well, I want to tell you, on 45th, there is no sidewalk, and I have seen personally kids riding bikes down 45th. I see people walking on the street on 45th. And one time, there was a guy in a wheelchair going down 45th. I actually called the PD and just has said, you guys might want to be behind this guy so he doesn't get hit till he gets where he was going. And you know, everybody's all upset about the safety on Ridge Road. Well, the speed limit on Ridge Road is 35. The speed limit on 45th is 45, and there is no sidewalk. You make people walk on the street. You're concerned about a stoplight there for cars. What about the pedestrians walking on there?
Well, that's a good point. Is there a sidewalk plan for that?
I believe we talked about that, and that's.
Yeah, it may. No, I can wait to respond.
Well, my comment and suggestion is, I'm all for expansion. God bless capitalism. I'm sure it's gonna bring you some more money, and that's a good thing. Good for you. But what about investing a little bit in the community, putting a sidewalk of some type in it? And it doesn't have to be concrete. There's a blacktop that was put along Calumet Avenue between 45th and the train tracks that, at least it's a sidewalk, people can walk on it. So what I might just suggest, I don't know if you can do this, but if you're gonna approve this, approve with a caveat that they put a sidewalk in there. And that, give them a date, like, not the year 2525, we'll all be dead, but, maybe by like, yesterday, or by summer of next year, that they'll have some type of sidewalk in there. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you for the help on, public hearings. Going once, going twice, bring it back to the board. Got a comment? Is there a motion and a second you want to modify?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to address the comment. I completely agree. I think there was a time in the town where there were businesses or whatever that would come forward and they weren't made to put sidewalks in at the time because they would argue sidewalk to nowhere. I guess this is before me. I'm just saying that those were some of the comments. But then later we started doing more sidewalks and requiring the sidewalks. And so what you find, I live over near there too, I'm in the community estates. I've watched kids not just bike along 45th, but cross the railroad tracks with their bikes, walk across, just trying some way to connect themselves to Centennial Park or to their friends in Briar Creek or, any of those suburbs or subdivisions. So I think that's a great idea that you're right. They're going to increase their business, add to the community and help us traverse comfortably and safely if we happen to not be in the car. So I did not make the original motion, but I don't know if anybody listed.
Well, I will add that, they're required to put in a, sidewalk to my motion. And by, I don't know what date we should give them, but I mean, prior to the completion of their project.
I'm just looking at the site plan right now though, and, there are other private businesses along 45th that we would have to work with that connect to Calumet. So, for example, the Speedway on the corner, and some other, and there's a printing business over there too. So that would have to be kind of a joint effort.
Well, it would actually, they're probably gotta start somewhere.
True,
They're gonna
yeah.
come to us sooner or later for something, and we'll just take care of it when it happens, that's all.
If I may, I think that's what's happened. So some people say, well, why should I put it in? Because the business next to me, it was before we started, but at least like,
It's a continuance.
is saying, if when they come for a variance, which someone always ends up on a new sign or something, so then maybe we can finally get everything connected. At least it's starting point.
This is consistent with changes in Hartsfield Village. I remember, an homage to Friedman, who's served on the board, was great about asking for sidewalks. And that's been part of improvements in the past. So I think it's a great catch.
So there's a motion that's been amended. Is there a second to that amended motion? Who did the original second?
Okay, I would happily second the amended motion.
So there's a motion and a second. You got that, Mr. Mendoza? Is there any discussion with regards to that situation? Either none, Mr. Mendoza.
Ms. Brannigan.
Yeah.
Dr. Kulturitis.
Yes.
Ms. Mellon.
Yes.
Mr. Speck.
Yes.
Mr. Kowinski.
Yes.
And Chairman Baker.
Yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for investing in our community. It's going to be a good one. All right, next up, finding of facts. I'm doing that right. PC 23-022, Matt Kimball, Centennial Village LLC, requesting approval of development plan of Lot 8, Building I, Centennial Village PUD.
In the past, we've done these as a lump. Is that on the realm of possibility for tonight?
I don't know, Mr. Wickland, with all the laws, is that something that's in the realm of possibility?
It is acceptable.
It is acceptable. So how do I read this for the, do I have to read all three of them as a bunch? I don't want to get into public sector jail for something I did incorrectly.
If you're gonna do them as a lump, them all together, ABC.
Okay, so, findings of facts for approval, PC 23-022 McKinnell Centennial Village, PC 23-016 Timothy Letts of Town of Blank Construction for the approval amendment to their PUD plan to accommodate height restrictions. These have all been approved, folks. PC 23-023 Tim Letts, Town of Blank, requesting approval of development plan for vertical expansion. All those are up for, findings of facts. What say you?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept and approve the findings of facts listed under letter A.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second, any discussion? Mr. Mendoza?
Ms. Brannigan,
Yeah.
Dr. Bonarenz.
Yes.
Ms. Mellon,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yes.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And Chairman Baker.
Yes. Any other business, additional items for discussion? Either none, the next regular scheduled meeting is November 14th, 2023. Can you believe we're running out of 2023? I need a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
And second.
And a second. Mr. Mendoza, Mr. Wickland yelled at me last month because I bypassed the.
We will do roll call.
Thank you.
Ms. Brannigan.
Yes.
Dr. Bonarenz.
Yes.
Ms. Mellon,
Yes.
Mr. Speck,
Yeah.
Mr. Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And Chairman Baker.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out and help us make Munster a better place to live.
Hi, Rachel.
No, I didn't do any of the on Zoom.
Bye, guys.
All right.
All right, Joel.
Good catch.